so I'm Sydney Vanderbilt. I work at Cowley College. I run the Tiger Learning Center. It is the tutoring center on campus. We have tutors for writing, math, science, and accounting. So let's kind of get into how we utilize Accudemia. So a little bit about ourselves, though. We have 5 campus locations, but only about 50% of our students are on the main campus. So we partner with local high schools and we do a lot of online classes. Our center is primarily drop-in based, and we do allow students to book appointments using Accudemia's appointment feature. We have a link to that feature on our website for students to access whenever they need it, instead of having to call or email the Tiger Learning Center. And then our center works with students on a one-to-one or small group sessions. We also help review emailed essays from students. We import our student enrollment directly into Accudemia. Since we are a 2-year institution, we do not categorize these classes into subject areas. We have professional tutors, faculty, and adjuncts who are long-term, but for the most part, our tutors are peer tutors whom we have for 1 to 3 semesters. That puts us in a situation where we don't strictly have math, science, and accounting tutors. We have tutors who can assist with the courses they've taken, which can be very limited depending on their year and pathway. We did add 2 courses ourselves, study assistance and writing. We often have students who come in for help with these topics in courses that we don't have tutors for. We train our tutors to be able to help with studying regardless of whether or not they know the material, and instruct students to sign in using these courses to track that. We recently made a major change to our input system. Some of our students were very frustrated with us because our import system uses their legal name, and Accudemia wouldn't allow them to change that on the forward-facing part of our system. They were getting frustrated because the system was constantly dead naming them or making it frustrating for our tutors to know who was who. I recently found out that Cowley tracks preferred names in our own system, so we modified our import document to provide those preferred names. Our students are actually so much happier now. In fact, one of our tutors ran around telling everyone because he was so excited that Accudemia was using his preferred name. It makes our center look a lot more welcoming to all kinds of students, and our students really enjoy that. They feel very seen when they come to our center. The third, another thing that we use is the athlete study hall. Some coaches require their athletes to spend a certain amount of time in the library or the Tiger Learning Center. We have separate service and kiosk specifically for the library, which allows us to keep their data separate from our own, but we don't have a separate center for the library. Coaches actually love that we can do this because we create user groups for each team and send them weekly reports for the library and the TLC. We can combine those reports since they're not separate centers, and so that coaches don't have to look at 2 different reports. And we can also personalize these reports by team. So some coaches prefer a CSV file, where others prefer the PDF that Accudemia produces, and they really like the fact that we can change that by team and give them a personalized experience with the center as well. The last big thing that Accudemia does for our center is our virtual tutoring services. As I said earlier, less than half of our students take classes on the main campus. It's extremely important to us that online and satellite students receive the same access to our and quality of tutoring as our main campus students. And we used to force students to book appointments for virtual sessions, but we came to the conclusion that that was unfair to those students. We've also run into the issue that our college does not pay for all students to have their own Zoom accounts. So now what we do instead is we host Zoom meetings or a singular Zoom meeting during all of our hours. We have a tutor monitor that Zoom room at all times, And when a student joins, we welcome them as we would an in-person drop-in. And then we have tutors set up in our center and reserved for these special drop-ins. So if a tutor is available for that course that the student needs help with, that tutor just jumps on that computer. We put the tutor and a student in a breakout room, and then we can leave the lobby available for more students. And we don't have to differentiate between in-person and virtual tutors. It makes it a very streamlined process. Students love it. We have a link to the specific service put on our website. And what we've done is we've used a virtual sign-in link that Accudemia provides so that when students click on that link on the website, it takes them to Accudemia's sign-in page. And then the student signs in for the course that they need help with, they select their instructor, and it fills out the rest of the information for our log. And then students can just click the Join Now button that takes them directly to Zoom. So when the students join our virtual Zoom room, they are automatically already assigned into the Zoom lobby, into Accudemia. And we don't have to worry about random people joining that Zoom room because the only people who have access to that Zoom room are our students. So it's a very secure system and we really like that. What we've also done is when students make appointments, we've used the Connect link for each tutor, and we've put the virtual sign-in link as the Connect, or the Zoom room as the Connect link, instead of having different Zoom connects for each tutor, because again, we can't, our tutors don't have their own individual Zoom accounts. We have seen a considerable increase in our virtual tutoring usage because of this process. This time last year, only about 4% of our usage was for virtual tutoring. So far, actually, no, I'm sorry, that was for the entire year, school year last year. So far, we're at 11% of our usage is for virtual services. And if we include our asynchronous emailed essays, that jumps up to 25%, which we're actually really excited to see because roughly half of our overall usage is for writing. So all of that data is lining up, and we're excited to see that we are seeing that growth in the usage of our virtual services by the students who need our help. Our students have actually given us a lot of feedback on this as well. They love it because they feel like they get the same treatment regardless of course modality. They feel like they aren't so alone anymore when they're taking online courses because, online courses are a lot of self-driven learning. And so they feel less alone because now whenever they're struggling, they can just hop in that Zoom meeting and get help from a tutor that's available. And they really like that service and they like that availability. The last thing that we've implemented, and this is actually really new for us as well, is we provide a proof of visit reports to instructors for all students who come in for writing services. That includes both our virtual face-to-face and our emailed essays. We use the tutor assessment feature in Accudemia, so our tutors can access this survey directly from the session logs. And I receive a detailed tutor survey report each week. We used to use paper slips that our tutors could fill out, and we ran into an issue of instructors not trusting their students. Our sheets were easily duplicated. They were just, a Word document that I printed on special colored paper. But if you found that paper, you could easily duplicate it as a student and fake a signature for one of our tutors. And so instructors were very frustrated with their students and they weren't really trusting these slips of paper. We also ran into situations where we ran out of that paper or we ran out of those slips and tutors ended up using Post-it notes. And so I was getting calls from instructors about, why are you guys using Post-it notes and a bunch of different things? And it was a real nightmare. So having this report makes it a lot easier, and instructors really enjoy it because this report goes directly from our tutors to our instructors, essentially. We don't have to worry about them having a middle person being the student. Tutors can also feel like they can be more honest, because when they were having to give paper slips, they had to sugarcoat the session essentially in some cases. And here, tutors can be really honest and give the instructor more detail about what occurred, where that student's at in their learning process, and it really helps the overall situation. We also found out that some instructors require their students visit our services and others offer extra credit, but they weren't giving those same opportunities to our online students because we didn't have a virtual version of it. And this process has solved that as well. Now we can provide this proof of visit for all session modalities and alleviate that issue for instructors so that they can provide the same opportunities to all students regardless of modality. And we're excited to see that too. What I end up doing with this report is actually when I receive it as a formatted Excel workbook. That way I can go in and I change the color palette, because when it's given to me, it's given in with the Accudemia logo, and it's given in their blue palette. So when I take it as an Excel workbook, I can go ahead and change it to orange, add the Tiger Learning Center logo, and then I can go ahead and individualize it so that each instructor receives their own, only their own students. That way we don't have to worry about FERPA violations with instructors receiving logs from students who aren't in their classes. Word has also spread as well. We require all writing sessions to have one of these, but word's gotten around and the math instructors are now have seen a few of these and they're liking them as well. We have some instructors who require their students to come in after an exam and review all of the questions that they got wrong with a tutor. And again, we used to have these paper slips that they had to fill out, but instructors really like this proof of visit sheet. And so now whenever a student comes in that situation, our math tutors again fill this out as well. We don't require math, science, and accounting tutors to fill it out for every single session because that would just get overwhelming for them, especially when you have a student that comes in for maybe 15 minutes for help with one question. We don't really need an in-depth analysis of how that session went. So for math, science, and accounting, it's still upon request, but otherwise, like, instructors love it, tutors love it. It has streamlined our process for our system, so we're excited to implement this and see where it takes us. But that's pretty much it. That's all I have. If you have any questions or comments, please feel free to reach out to me. My contact information is on this slide. Again, I'm sure Rachel can share it with you guys as well. I'd be happy to hear from you, see how you guys are using these same features, and see how I can help you set these up or share ideas if you need them.